Goddess of Light Discourse during the 2022 7 Sacred Weeks on December 5th. Our beloved Goddess of Light told us, "Children of light, it is with immense joy that I am able to once again descend into your outer activity with my words, blessings, and love. Today I wish to convince you of the need to be alert and always perfectly anchored in your I am presence. This seems to be something simple, but we know that it is simple to say, but very difficult to do in practice. Beloved ones, this is an important requirement for those of you who wish to get closer to us and do not wish to be deceived by the voices of the imperfect crystallizations of the fear, doubt, rebelliousness, and selfishness of the unconscious masses of human beings. These voices ring by the thousands in your head every day, and most of the time you take them as your own thoughts, when in fact they are just products of humanity's negative accumulations. I speak to you with all my love. Wake up. Be aware of the images, ideas, and feelings that flow in and through your mind and feeling world, day and night. You think you are smart, and I think you are really intelligent people, but I tell you, that is not enough. Perhaps you think you know how to perfectly discern between good and human creation, between perfect and distorted ideas, but you have not yet completed your ascension. And until this is something visibly achieved, mistakes can be made. Extreme confidence in yourselves can fill you with arrogance, and this would cause your downfall or great delay in your victory. Hundreds of years ago, I also thought I was my own man and that nothing and no one could divert me from the path. And what happened? I think you know a little about my story. Yes, I was caught off guard, and at a certain moment, I allowed an energy to enter me that cost me 300 years of work until I managed to get rid of it definitively. Know that before this event I had already sustained my young body for over 500 years. I had perfect control of my atomic structure and could move anywhere in this world consciously and at will. And even with so many achievements and dominion, in a careless moment, I made a mistake and got caught. That is exactly why I warn you today. No matter how advanced you think you are, always remain humble. And even when you think you are in control of everything, never give up in your calls for protection. Always call upon the protection of Archangel Michael, the protection of Hercules and Hermodium. Call upon the protection of Saint Germain, the great diviner director, and Astrea. Call on the protection of Jesus, Mary, the Queen of Light, or mine. Do not waver in this, my beloved ones. Also, ask for protection for your home, family members, and your country. Also, ask for protection of every student of light on the path. This is very important and must never be forgotten because you are constantly walking on quicksand in this world, and most of the time you are not really aware of the dangers that cross your path and how many times you were saved from dire conditions by your ascended master friends. As Virgo and the others lords of the elements told you, we can only do this when you invite us, when you remember us, when you give us freedom of action, and when you are constant in your cause. How do you think I was deceived? Do you imagine that a monstrous being or voice depressed me and I, due to lack of strength, let them in? No, this destructive force created by mankind is smart too. It often sneaks in a very friendly way until you are completely ensnared and under its control. At first, they show themselves to be friends, saying exactly what you wanted to hear until they gain your trust, and then they give the final blow. That is how I got caught. The thing did not happen in a second, but it was part of a process. Someone who approached with a beautiful appearance and a sweet voice, showing that he was a friend and willing to help. And when he gained my full trust, I simply let my guard down. And at the same moment, I was trapped in a terrible condition, having no more power either to release myself from that condition or to leave my body. How do you think I felt? Just like you, when a creative friend gives you a blow and suddenly you find yourselves in a huge problem that you are unable to manage. Despite the self control I had, at that moment I felt completely ruined, and for a few months I didn't know what to do to get out of that situation. But as time passed, I returned to balance and knew that if I had got myself into it, I would also be able to get out of it. And that is when I started calling the light into myself and anchoring it within my heart. I knew that if I continued to charge myself with the light of God that never fails, one day this light would be my victory. Know that I called the light for over 300 years and used the body I was in only to bless everything and everyone in my path. And when I created an immeasurable momentum of light, the light that I emitted caught the attention of a great cosmic being who came to meet me and help me to rise fully in the victory of ascension. Can you imagine my gratitude to the light and this cosmic being? Through his help, I returned to my previous form. And as this form was already well purified by my constant calls to the light, with the help of the same master, I was able to easily enter into my higher mental body, and soon after into my electronic body, completing my ascension. A process very similar to what you train daily in the Sacred Weeks protocol. When you do that alignment of bodies, you are creating a great momentum of light that will greatly facilitate your ascension. Do not doubt it, my beloved ones. This is a great gift of love from beloved Jesus to you. Do this with the attention and devotion, and you will see how blessed you will be. After I gained my victory, I decided to keep working with this sphere of evolution and give assistance and support to all sincere and devoted students of the light. This light that became my reason for living and existing, this light that I am. My beloved ones, I do not give you more detailed information about everything I experienced when I was imprisoned, because destructive things must be consumed in the violet fire, forgiven and forgotten forever. There is no benefit in discussing discordant events, because the more we talk about something destructive, the more we give strength to it. Today, the law of life allow us to provide much great assistance to students, and the only effort you needed to make is to remain alert and never let a destructive thought or feeling gain strength within you. Know that no matter how much you find reasons to justify a destructive feeling towards something or someone, your indignation does not improve the condition at all, but just opens the doors for destructive forces to enter your world, causing falls or delays in your path. Know that resentment is the main cause of going back on the path and is what blocks God's blessings from flowing freely in your life. A resentful person enters into a destructive process and usually wakes up to his or her mistake only when the suffering becomes unbearable. And just through the pain, they begin to realize that they are responsible for their problems, and then, crying and trotting, slowly get back on track. I want you to know that you do not need to be afraid of or focus on destructive conditions or people. Focusing on something destructive only creates internal tension and opens the door for that element to enter you. Beloved ones, I have learned this through my own suffering and experience, and therefore I tell you, the best way to be protected from destructive conditions is to stay focused on something opposite to them. If you are focused on good, beautiful, and perfect things, if you are anchored in your I am presence, the ascended masters and cosmic beings of light, you will certainly be protected. When you are focused on constructive things and bless everyone and everything in your path, you become invisible to any and all destructive elements. The invincible power of the light surrounds you, and as much as they want to harm you, they are unable to see exactly where to shoot. That time I have wrestled with destructive elements for years, but by my attention to them, thinking that this way I would always be victorious, I stepped out of my I am presence and made a mistake. If I had kept my attention on my presence, instead of trying to eliminate the destructive focus with my own hands, I would have saved myself 300 years of rigorous, conscious work to free myself. For this reason, I say to you, however far along the path, be alert and humble, centered in your I am presence and the light and perfection of the ascended host. Learn to develop the habit of always blessing, and when faced with something destructive, instead of trying to work things out for yourselves, call upon the assistance of the I am presence and the ascended masters and get your attention off this subject. Your attention to destructive things is their gateway into your world. Learn to charge every destructive element with the perfection and goodness of the I Am presence and the ascended host, and then you will see how quickly it will get out of your way. This is the best way to defend yourselves, calling us to charge what bothers you with our light, our love, our kindness, and compassion. For where our light descends, the darkness must disappear. And if you do that and close your door to discordant feelings, holding your harmony and leaving the matter in our hands, then you will see miracles happen. And you will never make mistakes, and it will save you a lot of trouble. Can you give me a chance and try to exercise over the next few months to keep your attention only on positive and uplifting things? Know that when we ask you to be alert, we ask you to be aware of your own feelings and thoughts first. For if you keep them in beautiful and perfect things, as I told you, nothing bad can affect you, because you cut off the means for them to act in your life. Remember, your attention is what connects you with them. Therefore, put your attention only on what is good, constructive, and enlightened, and then we will be able to give you great assistance for your complete victory. Remember my experience, remember my words, and remember what I am asking you in the love of my heart. We wish you to be happy and blessed. Beloved ones, the light of God never fails. Charge yourselves with this light, and this light will raise you into your victory. I thank you, Goddess of Light. Dear hearts, this was the wonderful magical discourse of the Goddess of Light. I hope you enjoyed it. The next one that you do, you'll be the one of the Queen of the Light, the Queen of Light, and I hope to meet you there too. And to finish, just feel the luminous presence of the Goddess of Light enfolding you, flooding your cells and your aura, and raising you in this moment in the perfection of the light of God that never fails. I wish you a blessed day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao. Morgan Lefay.